Hey Facebook, it's Genevieve. I wanted to take a minute to speak a little bit of knowledge that I've picked up in this semester's course of social anthropology. And I wanted to talk about race in particular. This last week has been heartbreaking at best. And I wanted to give a little bit of knowledge about what race truly is. For some reason in this country, we have allowed pigmentation of skin to separate us from other people. Well, let me tell you why some people are darker than others. Okay, so the epidermis, which is your skin, protects your body from the elements outside of your skin, basically. One of the other things that it does is it draws vitamin D from the sun. It also protects you from the UV rays of the sun. Now, if you look, the further down past the equator, the darker the skin is. The farther north from the equator, the lighter the skin is. Now, let me explain to you why. People of darker pigmentation have come, I guess, traditionally from a region where there is an abundance of sunlight. What does that mean? That means that the dark pigmentation of skin was meant to A, protect them from the UV rays of the sun, the harmful UV rays from the sun, also to alleviate overconsumption of vitamin D. So that would mean that the people that are from the northern hemisphere that are like pasty and extremely like translucent, pigmentally impaired, so out of my element there. People that are basically what we would call white have white skin because they weren't born closer to the equator, and that in those northern areas sunlight is not overly abundant, and so their skin is lighter to absorb vitamin D as quickly as possible, hence sunburns. Too much vitamin D burns. Imagine that. So if I were to peel off my skin and your skin, and then after going to jail, anyway, underneath all of that we are all exactly the same. So basically in this country we have let a ridiculous way of armoring ourselves against UV rays separate us as a country, period. Also, since we're talking and I'm chatting with you, I wanted to speak to you about something that I find extremely ironic in this country. And I say this country because I have traveled to different countries. And something I notice that is really strange to me is, well, when you meet people, they don't say, hey, I'm an American. Why is that important? Because that would mean inclusive. Okay? When I was a child and we lived in Germany, it was the most exciting time of my life. And I can tell you the sense of pride that I had because no one saw me as brown, black, green, yellow, what have you. No one looked at my biracial family as anything other than American. So you don't hear people in Paris say, yes, I'm French, but I come from the way of Scandinavia and my father's a Polak and we immigrated here 2 centuries ago, so I'm part this and part that and part blah, 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 blah. No, they're French. The Germans are German. The Russians are Russians. If you were born in this country, you are an American. Where your roots came from may mean something culturally to you, but only to you. You're an American. Whether or not your family is 2 generations from Mexico, you're still an American. Whether you are 2 generations from Africa, you're still an American. If you've been in America your whole entire life, but 3 grandfathers ago came from Ireland and 2 grandmothers ago you were a Cherokee princess, you're still an American. I think that it is important as Americans that we find a level of inclusiveness, because when we use words to divide us, you can dehumanize someone. When you dehumanize people, this is when tragedies occur. Hence, wiping out Native Americans, slavery, let's see, Auschwitz, when the English killed all of the Aboriginals on an island. The list goes on and on. So what I am trying to say is that I think that we need to get to a point where we recognize that you're an American, I'm an American, my kids are American, and the race of the Americans doesn't matter. It just means that somewhere down the line, my cultural ancestors had darker skin because they lived closer to the equator, and or the mixture of my skin is that at some point some dark person mixed with a light person, and therefore my skin's neither dark nor light. So I still get sunburned, but I have a little bit more protection from the sun than someone from Wisconsin. Uh, I don't know. It just hurts my heart to see the state of division that we are going through in this country. It also terrifies me because I used to like to say that I have given birth to the Rainbow Coalition. My 4 sons range from pigmentation that is a couple hues darker than mine to a child that could pass for a Caucasoid, or I don't even know if that's a word, a Caucasian. So I refuse to let race divide in my home. And I would think as Americans, we would find a place to stop using race to define our culture. Look, if somebody is an asshole, they're an asshole. It doesn't matter if they're a black asshole or a white asshole, they're still an asshole. You need to choose to see people for their character and not the color of your skin. Basically saying just because you're white doesn't mean that you are right, and just because you're black doesn't mean you got it like that. And if you're Mexican American, it doesn't mean that you like burritos and tacos. You choose to define yourself in any way you want to, and the rest of them can eat it, because that's the great thing about this country. We are a melting pot of different cultures. So if I want to, I can have a taco and also have greens on the side, if that is my choice, because I can. Because why? I am an American. Anyway, much love to everyone out there. I hope this helps a little. Let me know what you think.